Donald, just firstly, there's also been a lot of changes in the women's side over the summer. The departure of Joe Potter, first and foremost. How thankful are you for her contributions to the club after moving on to Crystal Palace?
Tremendously thankful. Joe was already in place when I started in the position in January 2024, and it was a bit of a seamless transition for me, and Joe was a big part of that. We got on really quite well together, and within the 18 months or so that we had, we were able to connect in a way that allowed us to pour all our energy towards the squad and the club and the women's game within the club in a really seamless way. Joe's got a legacy here which is going to last for a long time, and obviously we wish her all the success in the future.
And her departure has obviously left a vacancy in the head coach role. How's the sort of recruitment process going for that?
Yeah, it's been going really well. The quality of the candidate has been excellent, really strong. Probably a mark of the time that we've taken actually to get to the point that we're at right now. I think for us it's about finding the right qualities in all of those excellent candidates and excellent resumes that we received and applying it within the context that we have. We are in the final stages of that process, and we'll be able to confirm what we're going to do hopefully in the next couple of weeks, if not sooner. But it's been a great process that's really said a huge amount about where we're at as a women's club, and really the strides that the women's game's made in Scotland, that we're attracting just some really highly qualified, highly impressive people.
Yeah, we'll come on to the pre-season schedule later on, but is that the hope to have someone in place for, of course, that first game next weekend?
Yeah, that would be the hope, but we're not held to it. I think that shouldn't go beyond the priority of making sure we get the right person. We've gone through a number of stages in the process already to get to a point where we're incredibly happy with the candidates that we've got. Their engagement with the process has been excellent, and so that shouldn't be a factor in whether or not we get that right person in the job. I think the other piece in there is that the staff are incredibly experienced. Craig McPherson and Andy Thompson and Chris Flockhart, from the coaching perspective, have just carried out the plan that we've got. Lorena Sumser, our women's head of performance, has done the job with the German FA at the Under-20s Women's World Cup. We're in a good place from a coaching staff perspective, and whilst there's questions and there's a feeling that you want to have that settled in order to move forward, we've really done our best to make sure that the players feel supported and continue to feel supported. So yeah, we want to have the person in place as soon as possible, but that won't override making sure it's the right person. Our objective is obviously to have somebody in prior to the season starting.
Yeah, and obviously there was a number of high-profile departures in the squad as well over the summer. What's it sort of been like trying to fill the void of those players leaving?
Yeah, I think it comes down to an evolution of the team rather than looking to replace the talent that have moved on. There are a number of those players that we wanted to retain in the squad, but for one reason or another it didn't transpire. I think the process is made complicated by the fact that you don't have a head coach in place, but ultimately in modern day football you need to be able to have a set of guardrails set up that is the clear identity of who you are, so that if a head coach changes, you're not starting from scratch again. We knew from some way out that some of those players wouldn't be there, and so we had plans in place. There's been a couple of hiccups along the road. It hasn't been easy, as not having Champions League football, that's an obvious one. But again, if you gave us an option as to go into the last game of the season playing for second or playing for first, you know, Rangers Football Club, you want to win things. And so the recruitment piece is moving along fine. There'll be changes in the squad, both in the positive side and the negative side, but ultimately evolving this football team to get to a place where we are reaching new heights is the objective, not relying on a certain number of individuals as to a style of play or to how we attack or how we defend. Isn't a recipe for success, and perhaps that might have been the case in the past. And so as much as it's really difficult to see Kirsty in particular move on, or Chelsea moving on, and Tess and Jane and those people that brought a lot of experience. It's a new page, it's a new chapter, and it also provides more opportunities.
Yeah, you mentioned Kirsty there, obviously departing the club earlier this week. How difficult was it to see her go? Obviously a youth academy graduate here as well.
Yeah, probably bittersweet is the best word to describe that. 11 years with a single club is a long time, especially for a 20-year-old. You know, coming in from 9 years old and staying with us so long is obviously great for the club, but I think the club have also provided Kirsty with a platform to be the best that she can be as well. It doesn't make any sense in saying that we didn't want to retain Kirsty. Of course you would, but also we need to be respectful of the service that she's given the club and her ambition to go and play at another level. I think what I struggle with to a certain extent is she moves on to a fantastic club in one of the top leagues in the world, and this element of compensation for that development still doesn't exist at the moment in time in the women's game. You know, we've seen a record transfer for a women's player domestically within the WSL this year. For a 20-year-old player, there's got to be a quicker solution to reward clubs in Scotland in particular for developing that top talent. And that's not just specific to Rangers, that's specific to other clubs within the women's pyramid. You know, we are where we are. The English League is one of the best in the world, and it's continuing to strive to the best in the world, so it's attractive for players that are playing in Scotland. You know, from a governing body endorsement or GBE perspective, they're a UK citizen, a British citizen, so they don't need that to go and play down in England, so they're already a more attractive proposition for English clubs from that perspective, as opposed to potentially players outside of the UK. And so we're in a really difficult position, because should that structure be in place just now, it wouldn't just be Rangers that would benefit from that. It would be the women's pyramid, it would be the clubs in SWPL2 and the grassroots clubs that have provided a home to develop young talent too. So, you know, bittersweet's probably the right word. We love Kirsty. We wish her all the success in the world. From a kind of player development, infrastructural business perspective, it's a tough one to take.
One arrival so far with Fallon coming in from Sheffield United. How happy are you with that signing and what she can bring to the team?
Yeah, delighted. Again, it's, as I've spoken about, it's a core part of her identity. It needs to remain a core part of her identity. Fallon's just called into the under-23 squad and has performed really well and with the 19s and the 17s previously. Someone that I've been watching for a long time. A left-footed player is something that we don't necessarily have a great deal of within the squad as well, and making sure that we're providing a strong foundation for years to come for top young Scottish talent is obviously something that we want to do. She's going to be a great addition to the team, and I'm sure she'll give a number of people in that squad a good long look as to how she's going to challenge for a position.
Yeah, and last month there was obviously the positive news for the club that the women's team, there'll be more games played at Ibrox than ever before. Just how exciting is that for moving forward for the women's game?
It's great. It hasn't been done before at this level. We want to continue to be a club that pushes boundaries. I think the thing for us is it's clearly not a straightforward roadmap to play at Ibrox and a dual team facility. You know, the biggest hurdle will be the fixture schedule on the men's side of things. We don't know what that looks like from a European perspective, so looking for the longer term, which games are going to be at Ibrox and which ones are going to be moved away isn't specifically known yet. But clearly we've gone to the SWPL and based it upon what could have happened last year and said, look, the senior leadership and ownership within the club want to make this happen. Ultimately growing the game, getting more people to experience the women's team and doing it in your home city of Glasgow was the key motivation. North Lanarkshire Council have been fantastic with us. Broadwood is a great facility and remains a great facility, and they understand obviously what we're trying to do, because ultimately there will be games at Broadwood and so we grow the audience between Ibrox and Broadwood, means that there's a bigger audience coming to Broadwood, and so we're excited to be able to have more games than ever there. Hopefully it'll be a good spectacle and a good experience for the clubs that come to play us at Ibrox, and hopefully the supporters come out and forced to support the team.
Yeah, and just lastly, the team's obviously been back in pre-season training, got an exciting schedule to look forward to. They'll play Middlesbrough next weekend before going away to Italy for the week and round it off against Sunderland. Just how good a programme is that for the squad to prepare for that Montrose game?
Delighted with that programme. 4 games in 10 days, but 4 games of that quality. I think not having Champions League football is obviously a huge disappointment for the club, but making sure that we continue to evolve, to be playing opponents that will serve us in good stead moving forward when we are back playing Champions League football is important. So to be able to go to Italy and play Inter Milan, play AC Milan and play strong English clubs like Middlesbrough and Sunderland, yeah, we're delighted with the programme. I think it gives the players and the staff a good platform to go and kick on and understand what the expectations are going to be, and any of the new players that are coming in and have still to come in will understand what we're all about when we get into that programme and the ball starts rolling in SWPL.